Oh, right, Mr. C. Still puffing away a few times during the long, hard writing days. You're right, it is difficult to dig deeply into those memories. Um, but I'll respond to your letter. I always look for your name right away. It's a pleasure to have it in my mailbox. Thanks for taking the time to blog back to me. I really appreciate that. No one else is. I'm getting a lot of comments now, especially on some of the sexual prurient details. And the book did not start out as a sex book, but that's what everybody wants to read. They don't want to read about soccer. Well, a couple of one installments that I'll send you after this. They want to read the sex stuff. So Leanne was a good topic. Leanne sounds like an interesting young lady. Big mistake to give her up for Karen Van Sickle. I did indeed talk to Karen Van Sickle for the first time in 34 years ago, 4 summers ago, when my dad died. 3 summers ago. It was a disaster. She's a drug addict, cokehead. It was ridiculous. But I almost called Leanne yesterday. They have Kaufman Optical still open in Elyria, as I mentioned in the blog, that I'll send you if I haven't sent it. And would like to get back to her memory. She was very interesting, and once again, that's one of the biggest mistakes I ever made. You don't recall ever meeting? I don't recall you ever meeting her either. Not bad for a guy with an acorn on a fir bush. You know what an acorn turns into. An acorn turns into a mighty oak. Just bear that in mind. Bear that in mind. Coke bottle glasses are never going to do you any good in the 70s. Now they have them thin, so the glass is thin, and you can get by with wearing glasses without being ridiculed or called four eyes, I think was the name we used to call it the most. I'm impressed with your elephant-like memories of your youth. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm using a lot of substance, and unfortunately, these substances are the pathway to the brain and the memory of 40 years ago. So thank you for recognizing that. No, it's my car keys, and now I put them in the same place every time. Toothbrush is fine. I see now a better light. Perhaps your inner guilt and appeal of evangelical con artist interested only in stealing. Yeah, it was a horrible experience. It set me back in life 10 years. Worst experience in my life. Set me back 10, maybe 15 years of my life. I was set back from that wretched cult. This installment is loaded with amazing details as you were grumbling notes into your pocket. I don't quite understand that. You mean back then or now? Now I just sit on the computer, occasionally look up a name or a fact. Tarnowski came to me. I'd forgotten him, and then suddenly came to me. When you had your pants on and foregoing the typewriter, waiting instead 38 years to use technology undreamed of. Yeah, I wouldn't be the writer or blogger. Perhaps no one would be, with the ability to edit instantly, and then this added ability to do videos. Yeah. Chris Toth, yeah, he was a real asshole that night, and you're right, it was none of his fucking business what I was doing. But you see, Danny Lynn kept going out and undoubtedly telling what was going on, and that created this frenzy where 5 or 10 people burst into the room trying to take the sheets off. And so I blame her as much as I blame Chris Toth. He's interesting that you were pondering your own sexuality because of your sexual mishap. Yeah, I was. I learned to do it eventually. I don't think you would be fondling in the first place. No, I've always been attracted exclusively to women, and that's why it was so weird that I couldn't get it in. I didn't realize it was that difficult. You had to be guided in, especially from a young, tight woman. I don't think you would be fondling, you're right. Berea likely have meant ostracism, at minimum a beating within inches of death. It was a horrific experience for me. Horrific, worst year in high school by far. Didn't go out for the cross country team, didn't go out for the track team, didn't go out for the wrestling team. At least that would have gotten me some friends, and I probably would have been ridiculed and abused while Matt was treated completely differently. I don't think you would be fondling her. My students don't seem to be hung up on this issue. Many girls are open. Yeah, Meg explained from Smith College, where half the girls were supposedly gay, that it's a phase, and then they get married and they have children afterwards, and I'm sure that'll be the case of most of the girls in your class. The boys don't throw fag or homo in your school. That's outstanding. Somebody's doing some good anti-bullying. Having those words tossed at me for several decades were easily ignored because I knew they were not true. Yeah, it's a weird thing. I don't care either. I could care less. I could care less. I don't get hit on by anybody. Guys, girls, animals. Animals are the only ones that come up to me. My failure with attractive white women in my age group was because I was not pretty, 90%, and the pretty boys didn't like me, 10%. Yeah. That sucks. That sucks. You had a tough go for a while, but you came out of it strong, as I did 40 years later, and that will be our legacy, not the abuse. Hate does not live. Having those words tossed were not true. My failure with attractive women. It might be time. Interesting. I was just thinking that about introducing Gary and Jerry. You remember, obviously I must have blogged about it, but Gary was absolutely unique, and he's going to get a lot of ink. He hasn't communicated back to me in the last 10 letters, so I'm very concerned about him. I don't have his phone number. His wife divorced him, and so I'll write him off another email. He usually responds about the third time I ask, "How the fuck are you?" Thoughtful young man could not deal with the torture of being normal. Yeah, sad story. Gary one time told him if he smoked a seasoning that he could get high. And Jerry, unfortunately, tried to smoke this seasoning. And, of course, absolutely nothing happened but mayhem in his lungs. And that was an unfortunate, a pompous jackass and the other kind, thoughtful young man. Yeah, I remember him at a party at our house. That's probably the strongest memory. And things were happening. People were talking. Paul Barth was on the piano singing. My mom was going crazy over this guy from Lake Ridge who could sing and play the piano. And Jerry was just sitting over in a corner, slumped down, totally depressed. So sad. I look forward to future installments of this brilliant and insight. Thank you. I truly take that as a great compliment. And now, after this, I will rifle out a few more of the latest installments. Thank you. Bye.